Carly, and I'm back again with another review. So I asked and you guys answered. We are now going to be taking a look at the Captain America Disney Plus BAF series, and we are just going to do video every single day until we get through those. If you remember, I did the Loki figure back before I took my long break, so you can check out that video. I'll link it up here to sort of get an idea of how I was feeling about it at the time. I have really loved all of these Disney Plus series, so I feel like I'm kind of at an advantage looking at these now because I can actually talk about what happened in the show along with the figure itself. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and start with probably one of my favorite of all of the Disney Plus series that have come out so far, and we're gonna look at Wanda. So I know that WandaVision was kind of a polarizing series for a lot of Marvel fans and just for people who watched it in general. So I think there were a lot of people who just didn't get it. It wasn't for them. It wasn't their vibe. I think that a lot of people I've heard say that they felt like it was really slow and they just didn't really understand the way that the show was structured, or that they felt like the ending was kind of a letdown. I heard a lot of people say that they didn't like Agatha in the series. For me, the reason this series was a total success is because it was unlike anything that I've ever seen before, and it felt so good at the time that WandaVision came out to really get intimate looks at characters who we know play huge roles in the Marvel Universe, but who we hadn't gotten to see maybe the most high-profile roles in the cinematic universe. Meaning, of course, there is the Age of Ultron, where we get to see Wanda. There's Endgame, where they play these like really important roles. But getting an inside look into sort of the psyche and the way that these characters feel and think is something that we hadn't gotten in the cinematic universe before. And I just loved every single thing about this series. First of all, I loved the way they took advantage of being able to do so many different cinematic styles, and I really would have loved to see a figure for each series, and I kind of had hoped that WandaVision would get its own line in that way, that we'd get to see Wanda and Vision in all of their different character iterations, and Agatha, and Monica too. But that could be in the future. You know, you never know what we're gonna get coming down the line. There isn't going to be more WandaVision. That was a finite series. So the reason that I love, though, that this was the figure that they chose to go with for this BAF series is that this really is like the culmination of all of the iterations of Wanda we've seen through the cinematic universe up to this point. This is like the most awesome Wanda, the most powerful Wanda, the Wanda that we know, you know, really is at a level that nobody else kind of can reach. And I love this look so much, and I think that the action figure really captures how powerful Elizabeth Olsen was in this role and in this moment at the end of the series when she becomes aware of everything that she's been doing and everything that she has caused and sort of the annihilation that she's created. It's just really powerful to me, and I love the way this figure looks. So her facial sculpt is absolutely perfect. It literally couldn't be anybody else, and there have been so many times where I felt like my action figures were a little bit, I hate to say potato faced, but like where the countenance just isn't right, where something is a little bit off, which on such a small scale, being mass produced is something that could be really easy to happen. Not at all with this. And the same with the Loki. The face is absolutely perfect on that figure, and this literally could not be any version of the Scarlet Witch other than Elizabeth Olsen's version. The sculpt is really a work of art on this. Her hair is absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot of times, I've talked about this in the past, where we don't get high and low lights, where we don't get any sort of depth in the hair outside of just the sculpt, and this time we absolutely did. So you can see as the light's adjusting that we have shadow, we have highlight, we have movement and depth in her hair, which I think is really amazing. And this is one of my favorite Scarlet Witch, other than classic you know, red and pink. This is my absolute favorite iteration of her costume, and I feel like it is perfectly rendered. So we are gonna look really quickly. Her accessories include these sort of blast accessories right here. We've seen them often. We recently saw something similar on Magneto. We've seen them on the Cuckoos before. They're pretty versatile. I mean, they're fine as an accessory. I don't mind them at all. I like that you can sort of position where they are on the arm. And then she also has these hands that are sort of the same material. So the power is sort of like running through her whole entire body. This is really the end of the series, the culmination of everything. And the sculpt on these hands is really, really cool. So it's difficult to see because they're so tiny, but you can see like her pinky is bent. It's like really like you can feel like the strain in her fingers. I don't know, it's really cool looking. And then her hands on here are just her regular sort of casting hands. This really is the part of the movie where, or of the series where she's sort of like in the air. And you can see the texture on her trousers, on her bodice, on her, like every part of this is just perfectly put together. The back I'm really impressed with because the texture and the painting carries through. And I've talked about how in the past sometimes, weirdly enough, the back will get left undone. Not the case with this figure. So the articulation is what you would expect. We are losing a lot of the movement in the neck because of the really like highly sculpted and, you know, sort of, I don't want to say overwrought, but highly detailed hair. And we lose a lot of movement in the legs because of the lower portion of her costume down here. It's sort of like a waist cape that she wears. But the articulation, when you work with it, works beautifully. She is a very slight figure. She has a very slight frame. So the reason that I like that is because when they do the torso like this on the female characters, where it's in two parts with no turning waist down here, the smaller the upper body is over a small waist, the more like range of motion you get, and you can really do more with the figure on this body type. So I'm happy that she does. I mean, she's a slight character anyway, so it's appropriate, and you do get a lot more motion in that upper portion of the body. Her lateral lift on her arms and her legs is fine. You just have to like get a little bit creative with, you know, the lower part of her body because of the costume. And everything else is very smooth. I'm not gonna like go into too much detail about all of the articulation because it's very typical. It works smoothly. There were no kinks. There was nothing awkward about it. You can see the elbows bend beautifully. The hands obviously turn. And she feels really, really good in hand, guys. I can't wait to put her on display. I kind of wish... I'm starting to wish a little bit more that Marvel Legends would come with a stand because I feel like I would really like to see her displayed upright, which is interesting that I mentioned that on this series because obviously Captain America comes with his falcon wings and a stand. So I am starting to feel like I would really love an accessory to be included with characters who can levitate or fly that was a stand accessory. And I know that that would add a bit to the cost, but if we're already adding to the cost, let's get some really functional accessories that will work. By this point, people who are collecting Marvel Legends have blast accessories and hand accessories out the wazoo. We have tons of those things. Let's get some new things into the rotation. Even a stand pack would be great if they were tailored to these types of figures. And I know that you can get stuff like that on Amazon, you know. I just want a little bit more for my value, I think. And I would love to see Hasbro start to think of new ways to do that. I will find a stand for her because I will definitely want her to be displayed upright off the ground. But I am really, really happy about this figure. It, honestly, having been so long since I watched the series, it makes me want to go back and enjoy it all over again. Everything about the experience for me was really, you know, it really brought me into this new generation of Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, I absolutely loved the transition after Endgame into Disney Plus and now into, you know, the Doctor Strange era. It's just really exciting. And this is a beautiful, beautiful toy, you guys. So if for some reason you have not picked this up yet, I absolutely recommend it. Obviously, the next figure we're going to be looking at is White Vision. And quite frankly, having this in hand makes me feel a little bit less sad about not having the Wanda and Vision 2-pack that came out a while back. I'm still going to try to track that down, but if for some reason I could never find it, I do have another Vision, and this Wanda is gorgeous along with the White Vision. I think I'll be really, really happy with my collection of these characters. So let me know what you guys think of Wanda, what you thought of WandaVision, how you feel about these figures all together so far, or this one at least, and what you'd like to see next. We are going to do Vision next, but then you can choose after that, and I will do whichever one you guys want to see. I will be back tomorrow night with the Vision, and I hope you guys have a great evening. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back with another one soon. Bye, friends!